Oklahoma lawmakers are reviewing a bill that was vetoed by Governor Mary Fallin after the end of the session. The bill required supervision for prison inmates who are released after serving 85% of their sentence. The interim study also made clear the crisis inside the Department of Corrections. The Oklahoma Department of Corrections is not living up to its name. Whether behind bars or on parole, offenders are not getting tools or skills to correct the behavior that resulted in them being sent to prison. That's according to Corrections Director Joe Albaugh.
We have hundreds and hundreds of volunteer programs that come into our facilities, and without those volunteers, we would fail as a system. I actually think we are failing as a system right now because, given our overcrowded situation, we're just warehousing people.
Albaugh says his job is one of crisis management because of the growing number of inmates housed in overcrowded prisons.
We have the second highest incarceration rate in the country, 70% higher than the national average.
To put that into perspective, Albaugh says Oklahoma locks up 700 people per 100,000 residents. That compares to the national average of 412 per 100,000. He says inmates also serve more time behind bars than in neighboring states. In Oklahoma, the average length of a prison stay is 7.4 years. In Louisiana, it's 5.5 years, and in Texas, 6.4 years. Those lengthy prison stays are due in part to Oklahoma law, which requires repeat offenders to serve 85% of their sentences. A chart shows the sharp increase in the 85% population since the law was enacted in 2012. With staffing levels at only 60%, Albaugh says corrections officers are in daily jeopardy.
And it is a facade if anyone believes that we are in charge of the prisons. Yes, we feed them, we clothe them, we bathe them, we give them the pill line and the whole 9 yards, but they allow our men and women to go home every night from those facilities.
Albaugh's comments came in front of legislators conducting an interim study on a supervision gap created 4 years ago. Outgoing Speaker of the House, Jeff Hickman, explains.
In 2012, with the passage of the Justice Reinvestment Initiative, the legislature decided that both for reasons of public safety and reducing recidivism, that every prison sentence of a felony offender would include a term of supervision upon release of 9 months to 1 year. Anyone who is currently incarcerated, whose sentence was handed down prior to November 1, 2012, was left with no supervision requirement. Most alarmingly, those with lengthy prison sentences, including 85% criminal offenders.
Former Speaker of the House, Chris Steele, has been on the forefront of prison reform since he helped pass the Justice Reinvestment Act in 2012.
We've got a dilemma here with individuals who were sentenced and serving very long periods of time, transitioning back into our communities with absolutely no supervision, with no assistance, and with no accountability.
To address the gap, Speaker Hickman this year introduced House Bill 3159, which passed unanimously in both legislative chambers. However, a veto by Governor Mary Fallin prevented it from becoming law. Fallin stated there was no evidence-based research to support the supervision requirement. Hickman says that's just not true.
Kentucky, for example, with their supervision program, has saved that state $1 million a month, not $1 million a year, $1 million a month with what they've been able to save.
The Oklahoma Department of Corrections estimates it would cost nearly $383,000 per year to supervise the 314 85% inmates released this year. But that is additional money the department doesn't have. Albaugh says the department only has 255 parole officers statewide with caseloads of 120 or more each, making their jobs impossible.
Our turnover rate with the POs is about 35%. Our turnover rate with correctional officers, 39%. 36% of the agency is making the same amount of money today that they were 10 years ago. And 37% of our agency qualifies for food stamps.
Others who spoke at the study session say inmates on the inside don't have the opportunities to show parole board members they are fit to be released. Delynn Fudge is the executive director of the Oklahoma Pardon and Parole Board.
We have people that are incarcerated for long periods of time where we're not providing those programs to, and whether they want to take them, what we hear more often is they're not available to take them, that the programs are not available.
Hickman concedes that with the current budget shortfall, the Department of Corrections is hamstrung. But as he finishes his service due to term limits, Hickman hopes there will be lawmakers who pick up his baton and focus on the prison system, which he believes is the biggest crisis facing state government right now.
We're just fortunate that we haven't had a correctional officer or an employee or an inmate killed or violently injured in one of these prisons the last few years with the situation that we find ourselves in.